Hello, and welcome to Film Slam Stream's post-film conversation for The Valedictorian. My name is Eric Seiler. I'm an instructor of film, media arts, communications, as well as moderator for this conversation. We are very pleased to be joined by the director of The Valedictorian, Kari Perez. Kari was born and raised in Puerto Rico, but but she's currently living in Florida, and where she studied filmmaking and has done this short film, has worked on numerous other projects as well too. Hello, Carrie, and welcome.
Hi,
Carrie.
excited to be here.
I know we went over this. I call you Carrie. It's Kari. I know that so far.
Yeah,
It's
all good,
Kari.
all good.
All right. The valedictorian. So I take it you were once a valedictorian yourself, and that's how you came up with this phone and his name. Tell us how you came up with
So it's so funny that you say that. I was the valedictorian of my class, but when we were kind of first kind of talking about making this film was actually written by a good friend of mine named Michaela Smith. And at the time where it was COVID year, so 2020. We were all in our houses, stuck. We didn't have, we knew we wanted to make something. Obviously, as a creative, you're kind of itching to do something, but being stuck in a house, not knowing what the heck is going on, when are we going to get a chance to do it? I knew that I wanted to take that opportunity to start, talking about future passion projects, what we wanted to do. And before COVID hit, I was in a film program called LAFSC, so LA Film Study Center. And while I was out there, I was doing internships. I met a whole bunch of great, amazing people, which is where met the screenwriter named Michaela Smith. Um, and so fast forward, COVID hits, we're at the house, and I just kind of shoot a message to some of my film friends. Hey, I would love to do some passion projects. Do you guys have any short film scripts that you have, that you could potentially see it becoming an actual movie, actually something that we can make, something that we can produce? Got a few people who hit me up, and Michaela was one of them. And so she sent me her script, and I read it, and it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, we have to make this, and we have to make this now. And so it was, it's an honor for, especially, a screenwriter who cares about their story so much, to be willing to, put that in the hands of someone else. So I'm very honored for Michaela to share that with us. And it's definitely a story that I'm very proud to say. And it's so funny because I didn't know I was going to become the valedictorian of my class before I got the story. So when I got the story, we're doing the thing, and then all of a sudden, maybe a few weeks later, I get an email from my university letting me know that I'm going to be doing the student commencement speech, and it's going to be all this stuff. So it's crazy how the two stories kind of combined together, which was such a big reassurance that I knew that this was a story that we needed to tell. So very
Oh,
proud of it.
wow, that is a really big
I know, crazy.
that is. And that's great that you actually were pitching screenplays. A lot of directors, independent directors, are also the writers too. So
Yeah.
I
And there
that's
was many, scripts and stuff like that that I had before, that I had done it myself. But this was something I'm like, you know what? I want to venture. I have so many screenwriting friends that, they may not have the capabilities, or maybe they don't have the connections, or they don't have people who are, in other parts of the film crew, so to speak. But I wanted to give, that opportunity to her. And I knew that she's a phenomenal screenwriter. So I was like, this girl's got some magic. So it was cool.
okay. So you received the the script. You told your friend you wanted to produce this. Then what next? What did you start doing next? How did you cast
So
it and so forth?
So yes, so when we went through the whole, writing process, we had a few tweaks that we wanted to make to the script, just kind of help make the storyline flow better. And yes, the very first thing that I did, obviously in talks with my producer, her name is Carla Colon. Me and her worked real closely together. Um, we obviously talked to our crew. That was the first thing we did. Started reaching out to some of my, crew members, friends that I know in the industry. Hey, I've got this story. Are you down? It's a passion project. If you're down to do it with us, we're excited to have you. So kind of getting that process started, getting the crew in and all that stuff. After we were already in talks with our crew, people are excited to be part of it. That's when we started going for the casting process. So myself and Carla Colon, we kind of went through different, avenues, like audition avenues, things. casting calls. We put it out on Facebook groups. I mean, we were just a lot of the people that we were reaching out to, obviously locals to Florida. And so the process of the casting, I would say, probably took about a month. Kind of reaching out. There was a lot of great actors, a lot of people who, which is so funny, they were so excited about the story as well. And that was one of the things that I was looking for, more than just, oh, this is just another gig. I wanted somebody who was, you know, excited about telling the story, excited to portray a character that, you know, in this day and age, many of us can relate to. And so the casting process took about a month or so. After we casted our amazing actors, those who played Josh, Larissa, Tyrese, they were, and it's so funny because they all come from different places, and the way they connected was just,
man, not anymore.
so, yeah, no, we did the whole casting process, took about a month, and then the process from there, I would say, pre-production, the production aspect, when we did the film, it was about a 3-day shoot. So we filmed for 3 days. Many of the locations were actually in Lakeland, Florida. We may have hit, most of them were in Lakeland, I believe, which is funny because we wanted to work with what we got, right? What do we have around us? It was a small budget film, but what do we have around us? What people can we have connections with? And so working with those, you know, neighbors and friends willing to lend us their homes, willing to allow us to film in front of their houses, you know, small business owners allowing us to use their stores. So it was definitely one of those projects where it's like, hey, work with what you got, make it happen, which goes to show you can make something awesome with a small, tiny budget and it's still a story that's powerful. And as long as you have the right filmmakers and the people who love your story, you know, you can make magic happen for sure.
You know, that you did. I can't believe you got that. You shot it in 3 days. Was Michaela
3
part of
days.
3 days, right? Was Michaela part of the production?
So Michaela, she lives in Ohio. So we had met in LA for our program, but she lived in Ohio. I was in Florida. We were trying to see if she can make it through. But unfortunately, she wasn't able to be there with us in person, but she was very much a part of the process. I mean, getting a chance to, you know, FaceTime her. She was super excited when we did the whole, like, when we finished the film. So we filmed in 3 days. The whole process took about a 3-month span from pre-production, production to post, which shout out to my editors. They're amazing. Nathan Suela, Tirso Gomez, amazing gentlemen. And so the whole process took about 3 months. When we were done kind of getting the whole thing together, we sent it over to Michaela. And she was just like, I wrote this? What? Like it was to see how excited she was, her characters, you know, the people, excuse me, that she, you know, spent so much time writing and so much things, you know, it was amazing to see the way she reacted to the film. And it makes it worth it for sure.
So turning the script over to you, she gave you a lot of creative license. What's one of the biggest changes you've made in filming this that wasn't in the original script?
That is a great question. So there wasn't much changes that were like huge, but I know that there was one scene in particular where it was kind of like where they were at the corner store and that whole conversation there. There was a particular scene where there was going to be like a big car, or like just kind of like a car scene where there's, you know, friends, you know, girls, whatever. They're kind of music is bumping and they're driving by, and so Tyrese was gonna have like this little like flirty conversation with one of the girls that were in the vehicle, and it was gonna be like, oh, never mind, I'll catch you later, I'm not gonna be going to graduation practice or whatever. Like it was one of those things where like he was gonna be easily distracted off of that. And so there was that particular scene, and there was also the scene that was in the movie where we had the girl kind of walk across and have that little flirty moment, and then she walks into the store. So those two scenes were already a part of it. And so, you know, we kind of talked about it, we talked it through. And I just believed we already had that moment with Tyrese. So to add another scene was just going to be a little bit of an overkill moment for that. And so making that decision to kind of cut that particular scene out helped, you know, move the storyline along, keep it short, concise. And it still kind of showed how easily distracted Tyrese is. So it wasn't necessarily something that took away from his character or took away from his personality. We were still able to see that, but we just kind of made that decision to kind of cut away that particular scene because we just believed it wasn't necessary. But other than that, her script was pretty much intact.
Wow, that's great. Now, as a director, I mean, I'm still marveled at how you got the shot in 3 days. I mean, a lot of planning and
An awesome crew
pre-production.
there.
And can you tell me the order you shot this in? Of course, as a
Yes.
director, you have to shoot according to your locations, but how
Right.
did you
So
film this?
one of the biggest things for me as a director, and as an actress myself, and being in the actor's shoes, I love, as much as I can, I always try to film in chronological order to the story. It's easier for the actors to connect. It's easy, as much as I can, obviously, with locations and things like that. But I'm very blessed to say that we were able to shoot most of this particular movie in chronological order, in order as the scenes go by, which kind of shows, as the actors, their personalities, their characters kind of, bond and all that stuff. So it was a blessing to say that we were able to shoot in chronological order, which really helped. Again, with the development of the characters and just for the actors themselves, it's easier to get into character when you've been on a journey, when a consistent journey. And so this particular film, we were able to do that.
Right, I see that. That's really good because as I think about the film, the scenes really weren't repeated. Each scene, each location had their own, events happening. So you
Yes.
kept build on that. So, what did you do in particular to add your own stamp on this film? All directors do something, whether working closely with the cinematographer, having actors do something.
Right.
What can we look at in this film and say that Kari Perez's, signature moment as
Yes.
a director?
So for me, I like to tell stories that make people think, right? Stories that make people kind of go, oh, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. I thought I was just watching a movie. Now this movie's kind of talking to me. And that right there is a signature piece already as to what kind of stories I like to tell. But in this particular project, I work very closely with my DP, my director of photography, Nathan Suela. I very much like to be a part of the storyboarding, like the storyboarding, the film, what shots, what's important, and what that kind of like goes through. So I work very closely. That's one of the things that I do like to do, especially when it comes to the shot process. Obviously, given our DP, of course, free range as well. Like it's not just my full shots, but I do like to work closely with them. And then me in particular as well. At the end of the movie, there is a Bible verse that comes up. As you know, for me, I am a Christian. My faith is very important to me. And it's one of those things too where it's like I don't necessarily like to put Jesus in people's mouths and shove it in people's face. Because that's not who God is, right? God's a gentleman. And so whenever I do my films and things like that, I always like to sneak in a little bit of my faith here and there. And it just so happened to be at the end of the film, kind of talking about loving your neighbor as you love yourself, right? And the movie kind of hits on that, right? Racial discrimination, easily you see somebody and automatically you're so quick to judge. But the Bible says, love your neighbor. And not just legitimately your neighbor, the people who you hang out with, but anybody, right? Showing that love, showing that compassion, standing up for people, for the people that don't have a voice, doing what's right no matter the cost. So that's one of my biggest staples for me. In every film that I do, I always like to put a little bit of my faith in that. And so I'm very very honored that screenwriter and my crew members were open to that as well.
Okay, well, great. Tell me about working with the actors. I know there was like nice little chemistry between the main characters. How
Right.
much rehearsal did you do with them, and how much actual coaching did you have to do
So
with them?
I, for the very first time we met in person was the first day we filmed. But when we did a little bit of a one-on-one with each actor, of course through Zoom, FaceTime, things like that. But they actually never got a chance to meet in person till the first day. So that was huge. That was definitely a I would say a struck of luck to see them have such a great connection, such good chemistry. And I kind of knew, each one kind of had something consistent to the character, so I felt like, I think the three of them really worked well together. But yeah, I met with them individually, kind of talked a little bit about their character. But the very first time they met was on the first day of filming, so it was awesome to see the way they developed.
Yeah, they did develop so quickly that the script and your directing. I particularly think about the scene when they were walking in the white gentleman was talking. He was proud to show his T-shirt and so forth. He was really, and just that whole scene was done in such a way in which the viewers were talking back to the scene. He says, "Is he
Yes.
really acting like this? Is he really saying this?" And the characters got it. You got it. The screenwriter got it. We all got it, and that scene just came out so well. If
Yes,
you,
no, and it's so funny because that, that particular scene, obviously you've got Larissa, Josh, Tyrese with Jeremy, and you can tell Jeremy's trying so hard to fit in. He's trying so hard to be a part of it. And that it shows a little bit of his heart too, but the fact that you have the characters who are just like, oh, so annoyed by him. We all have that one friend that we love, but it's just like, boy, so we wanted to give something that I know a lot of people can relate to, having that character. I feel like that tries so hard, such a big try hard to be a part of something, but it's like you do a lot of this, but I don't see you doing a lot of this. So I love how I do my little hand signs. But anyways, yeah, so we definitely wanted to have a character that I feel like a lot of us, we at least have one person in our life that is that way. So very grateful for our actors.
Okay, we're going to wrap up in a couple moments, but just tell me about the funding for this. Did you crowdsource it, or how did you come up with the funding?
So we had most of the film that we had, again, our budget, I would say maybe, and I could maybe even be exaggerating here, probably like $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Most of my crew, close friends of mine, willing to work for free, pretty much. I worked for free. My producers worked for free. We paid our actors, I just as thank you. And of course, the food, what it takes to kind of do that stuff, costume design pieces. That's really where our budget mostly went to. Paying some of our, our editors. I know they take a lot of time to do that. But again, literally our budget was micro. And when it came to that, most of the money, myself, I funded a lot of it. My family members, family that love me, people that know that this is my passion, what I like to do. So family members were willing to give here and there. Some friends are willing to give, but most of the budget came from in-house. So myself, Carla was able to pitch in as well, my producer. But yeah, like I said, you don't really need a lot of money to
Right,
make something.
exactly. And the equipment came from your
So the
school?
equipment we had, yes, our school, Southeastern, because we are alumni, they are super awesome and willing to help alumni kind of work with that. And so they were able to allow us to rent a lot of the equipment that we have there. And my DP, Nathan Swela, he has a lot of his own equipment as well. So he was willing to allow us to use that. So we were just blessed, overall blessed with just awesome people.
And indeed you were, and it turned out so well. It's something that you can feel proud of. Before I let you go, are you working on something now? If so, what is it?
So yes, so I am. I'm a creative arts director here in Florida, and so obviously, as a creative arts director, you kind of take the creative vision, right, of the company or wherever that you're working at, and it's your job to make it come to life. And so, as the creative arts director, I not only venture in the film aspect, right, so the filming, the pre-production, all that kind of stuff, but I also venture in onto stage performances as well. So, been working on a lot of both intermixing. And so the next big project that we're working on is during Christmas time, we do a big grand Christmas live show. And so this year, what my goal is to kind of interact with both film and live performances and kind of make them go together. So we did a little something this past Christmas similar to that. It was where we had a movie and we had actors in front of the screen and they were doing their kind of thing. And so this year, wanting to do something similar to that, but where it's literally like a 3D experience. So that is my next big project. So combining both live performance and film, and then just kind of marrying each other and making something really cool happen.
That's wonderful. That's such a thrill for film lovers and theater lovers to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, super fun.
Well, Kari Perez, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights on how you put this film together. It's been such a pleasure talking with you, and wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. To whoever's listening, hey, you got it. You got it. You have a dream, you have a passion for it, do it. Who's going to stop you? Who's going to stop you? It's up to you. You want to make it happen, you make it happen.
Make it happen. Thank you. And thank you to our audience for joining us for this important and invigorating conversation. For more information about upcoming film festivals, please visit us at clevelandfilm.org. I'm Eric Seiler. Thank you.
Thank you.